What's up, guys? So I just took part in the 2025 Two Oceans Ultra Marathon race, about 50 Ks or so, 56 Ks or so. I got myself these sick Pro 4s as a little bit of a reward, but also just to stay motivated so I don't get lost on the path of running. I have some thoughts, I have some impressions in terms of design, comfort, and overall feel in terms of using these shoes. Welcome to today's impressions video on the Adidas Adios Pro 4s. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to go over a few key aspects in terms of look, feel, comfort. But first, let's just talk about how sick this is in terms of design, because Adidas didn't hold back here. And you don't even have to look closely, but they took a lot of inspiration from the Adios Pro Evo 1. When you look at especially when you take into consideration the white and black on the shoe, very much similar to what we had with the Pro Evo 1, as well as the overall look, design, and comfort. Taking a look closer in terms of, I guess, the very basics, in terms of specs, the stack height coming in at around 39 millimeters, just at the cusp of what is allowed from a sports regulation point of view. Think back to the Adidas Prime X Strung version 1 as well as version 2. We did definitely see those coming over 39 millimeters, but decent shoes. But this is very much a legal street racer. Just some basic touches that Adidas have put in terms of the shoe. I mean, I'll bring it up slightly closer. When you take a look at the Adizero printing, on the side view, Adidas never misses over here. As you can see, you have branding in terms of the Adidas Pro Evo, Adidas Pro 4, reminiscent of the Pro 3s. We have Light Strike Pro on the side, and pretty much like almost my favorite part of the shoe in terms of just like design or comfort is definitely more on the light lock, which is Adidas's custom way of fitting shoelaces and ensuring that you have a nice and snug fit. And I must say, that's probably my favorite part of the design and comfort of the shoe. One more small touch that Adidas have left us with is a little nugget that keeps us running on the road. This too shall pass, which is, some bit of motivation when you're running every stride. If you take a look underneath the shoe, we do see the carbon plates underneath that are surfaced, reminiscent of the Pro 3s, as well as the Adizero printing. Unlike the Pro 3s where we had Continental rubber in abundance, here we just have some small strip of Continental rubber indicated in the red section, but this is still very much like a grippy surface in terms of allowing you to get the best out of these races when you get into the run. Now let's get into comfort. So as I mentioned, Light Lock is Adidas's attempt to improve the snuggliness as well as the fit of the shoes. And I must say, I haven't really struggled in terms of getting into these shoes. The fabric is as well on the soft side, so it makes it even easier and much more comfortable in terms of getting that tie in and lock in as you're preparing for getting into these shoes as well as hitting the road. Another aspect in terms of the comfort of the shoe is definitely more in terms of breathability. When you take a look at the surface, which is, one improvement that I really love over the Pro 3s, is taking a closer look at the toe off section, you do see that there's some extra padding that they've placed there. Now, this will prevent some runners, including myself, in the toe section, you do start to experience some bit of material degradation, and as a result, the shoes end up not holding too well over the long distance. But I'm happy to say that is very likely fixed, considering the extra padding that Adidas have added onto this shoe. So definitely, scoring some brownie points in terms of my thoughts on the shoe. But when you look at overall comfort feel, we can't get past speaking about the toe rise section, which is obviously more designed towards faster tempo paces, for runners, running anything from 5:30 into the, to the lower fours, and even into the 3 minutes per K sections. So definitely, if you're more into those kinds of paces, this is definitely the shoe for you. But when you look at, I guess, overall look, feel, I did get the black and white design. Adidas did not really hold back in terms of the overall look, feel, design of the shoe. I will be spending some time running with these shoes. I do have a 5K lined up over the next few days. And so stay tuned if you want to get my impressions in terms of how it feels on the road. But I will be spending even more time with these shoes with a few races coming up in towards June and the latter parts of the year as I get into my training block for marathon training. So I will have my full impressions and as well as reviews on these races. Stay tuned as well, as I'll be using the Boston 12s as well. Those races, I'll be looking to integrate them more into my training runs and not really racing in them in order to preserve and protect the Pro 4s just to go that little bit longer. So these will be my new races, and the Boston 12s will then slot right in as my training runs. And I can hear someone asking, what about your old Pro 3s? Well, those still have a special place in my heart. And I think when I'm doing more easy paces, I'll definitely still use those, even though they have started seeing some little bit of wear and tear. I think they still can go a little bit longer, especially in terms of runs where I don't really have to apply myself that much. But stay tuned for the review of the Pro 4s as well as impressions on the Boston 12s. But as I like to say, keep running.